This song needs something else. It needs a new sound. Something no one's ever heard. Something like this.
What is that? When did you even make that?
And you all are fucking with the reverb. Hear that hum? Gets hot quick.
That doesn't look safe.
The world needs to wake up. And this is the sound of its new alarm clock, baby.
How would you describe Darsombra's music?
You know, people ask that. People ask that all the time, and I'm always like, that's the $1 million question. To me, it's just
Because you actually do have like a phrase for it on your band.
yeah. I think it was a trans-apocalyptic galaxy rock. Is that the phrase? We were always sort of like tweaking it out because we don't know what the fuck it is, so we figure, well, let's just make up some genre that doesn't even make sense. But to me, it's all rock and roll. But you know, there's no drummer, so that for a lot of people automatically takes it out of the rock realm or whatever it is, and then they'll think it's ambient or drone or noise or experimental, and it has all of those things in it too as well. So I think trans-apocalyptic galaxy rock was a very tongue-in-cheek sort of way for us to just be like, we don't know what the fuck it is either, so we're just gonna like make up some shit that doesn't even make a lot of sense. But the funny thing is, over the last couple of years, people have sort of latched onto it now, and then they're like, it's like, that's how they describe us. They're like, this is what you are. This is exactly what it is. And we're like, okay. We were just being funny with it, you know, just because, you know, it's so hard to read press kits and write press kits. It's like my least favorite part of the job. I guess some artists hire people to do that for them, or have somebody that does that for them, but we don't. We're totally a cottage industry. So even down to generating our own bio, you know, so it's just like, what are we gonna say? You know, the same old shit, like pile of hyperbole or whatever. You know, it's just like we got to come up with something. I think we were just we had no clue what to do or say, so we just decided to be goofy.
Nowadays, I just tell people it's heavy psych, because it's too hippie for metal, but it's too metal for the hippies. So there's something.
But even then, it still doesn't have drums, so people are expecting to hear a drummer, and that. I think just that alone takes it into a thing where people, you're just like, I don't get it, because there's just not that person in the back, you know, like keeping the beat. So.
I mean, there are bands that do maybe not similar but adjacent music like Earth and Sunno.
Totally.
But I would say, like, you know, within those bands, the major difference is the guitar playing for that kind of drone tends to be very austere and simplistic and monolithic.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you said rock and roll, because I think the thing that I latched onto when I listened to Polyvision today before I came over here.
Oh, nice.
And your guitar playing it's metal. Like, it could be Randy Rhoads, it could be you know, you said Kiss, it could be Ace Frehley, it could be, you know, it's, you know, you love playing guitar, and it's like that's something that comes through in all the Darsombra music.
Yeah.
Even as Darsombra gets less and less like quote unquote rock, like that aspect is a big part of your sound.
Yeah. Guitar-based rock.
That's
all
just
the
my.
way.
It's just I just love playing my guitar, and more so every day. I always try to, as each year passes, I'm trying to figure out how I can spend more time just playing my guitar and devoting my time to my instrument and improving at it, or just having a deeper relationship with it even. I don't know what improving means per se, but
Refining?
yeah, I don't know. So,
You just want to play your guitar all the time. That's who you are. That's why you're here.
I don't want to pickle. I just want to ride my motorcycle.
Would you say there's a philosophy to Darsombra's music?
Yes, there is. We had this question one time before. What was it? I think it was just be yourself and nothing else. It was something really cheesy and very 80s kind of. Like I grew up in the 80s, so there was all that like you can be anything kind of dogma.
I think
which is great.
Anything I've ever done, I felt like that's what I felt like was the
be nothing but yourself.
Yeah, just go for it and do it, you know, and you can do it, you know. That's another thing I think a lot of people get intimidated by or whatever. They think like, oh, I can never do that. Yes, you can. Everybody can do it. You know, if I can do this, you can. So I think, you know, and there's, what else is behind our music? Just freedom of
Just be yourself.
Don't
try to conform.
We're not big on conformity or authority or stuff like that, you know. So
I mean, like, honestly, we come from dust and we become dust. So we might as well have fun in these bodies in this lifetime in an ethical way, which for me, you know, whatever, nonviolence. That's a nice one. Being respectful to other living creatures. That's a very nice one. That's a good one. But in the meantime, just have fun. For God's sake. We're here for 75, 100 years. That's a little blip.
That said, though, they're I think we try to encapsulate like a kind of a full life experience. It's not just like pure escapism and have fun. Especially the new stuff we're working on. It's got some very, very dark parts to it too. So we're trying to present like a picture of life that's just very kind of has everything in the kitchen sink in it.
Well, maybe that's another yoga concept. We aren't like super well educated in yoga, but one thing we learned about was what was he called? Ganesha or something. It was a form of Ganesh where he had a really big belly that encapsulated the entire universe. So you had the good and you had the bad. You had the evil and you had the unevil. You had all the things. The nice version of Anne when she's in a good mood, the version of Anne when she's in a terrible mood. It's all within that belly. And I think a lot of people see us as this vision of light, particularly because we project video, we go into bars and are very sort of energetic. We're in the background stretching and, trying to keep a positive demeanor as best as we can. And it's not too hard. We got a lot to be grateful for. But the darkness is integral for the light. You cannot have one without the other. And darkness is important. It is something to be expressed. I think that's the hard thing about, like, maybe if we fell too much into a psych realm, is sometimes psych stuff can be very like, yay, everything's nice, let's go sit in the field, look at some daisies, whatever it is, which is great. I like that too, but darkness is part of that for me. And for you, very much so.
Darsombra as spiritual or even religious?
It's a tough one.
Yoga seems to be a big part of your life, and it seems to bleed into it.
Yeah. You know, it's funny.
Yeah, we
there's
do it
a
all
there's
the
a
time.
big. A lot of people like this. I think I don't know if this is outside of the states, but definitely in the states, you hear a lot of people saying, "I'm spiritual, not religious or whatever," you know, and without sounding like a cliche. I don't know. I have a really hard time. I was brought up barely Roman Catholic, and at an early age rejected that stuff. So I kind of resonate with the whole spiritual but not religious thing that people say. Yeah, I don't know. It's always a funny one for me. You got any take on this spirituality?
Yeah, yes, I do. So, from my understanding and my belief system, my body is just housing something that's going to be here for a little while, and way past my body's sell-by date. And so, because I really enjoy my soul and I'm grateful for it, and I'm doing what I can to kind of get rid of damages from ancestors that they've experienced, but also damages in my personal life that I may have walked myself into at some point or another. I'm going to take really good care of my body and do what I can to keep the channels open and flowing so that I can have a very pure experience of universal consciousness and bliss in this lifetime. And hopefully in future lifetimes. So performance actually does get into that, because the way that we move when we perform and the music that we're playing and the energy that we put into it and the emotional state that we get in when we perform, we could be having the worst day. But when we hit the stage, I just feel joy because I'm grateful to be doing this thing that I love. As simple as that. If I'm keeping my body clear as I'm doing this and open, and energy, life force is moving around inside of me, I can send that to people and put them in a certain energetic state, which is a gift to them. I mean, a good state. There's white magic, there's black magic. Not that I really like those names for it, but if you have that ability, which I think all humans do, of influencing the energy of those around you, why not put them in a place of joy?
The reason why I ask about the spirit, I mean, obviously, talking to you and knowing a little bit about Brian and the yoga, that colors my view of your music. But I would say the thing that Darsombra has in common with both, like, you know, the quote-unquote drone band like Om, or, you know, even Sun O, and actual, like, Buddhist chanting and music like that, is the use of repetition.
Oh, yeah.
And repetition is meditative.
Yeah.
And there's something about Darsombra's music where, you know, through constant repetition, you probably know more about this than I do, when, you know.
Maybe. Maybe not.
but you know, there is a feeling of, it does feel spiritual, it does feel religious, it does feel cathartic, it does feel, you know,
Yay!
in all the ways that, like, you know, church or temple or, you know, insert religious ceremony here is those things.
I mean, at best, a religious experience gives you peace in your soul as a human being this time around, the peace in your body, and peace amongst your fellow creatures on this earth, maybe your fellow creatures in this universe. I mean, the hard thing with religion is dogma really makes it tough to love sometimes, but the idea of transmitting a peaceful mood or that kind of sense of bliss, I feel like that could be sex. Like, it could be all sorts of different things. I mean, obviously under the right conditions with a safe environment. So, yeah, there is something a little bit...
But it sounds like it's not
something.
Conscious.
Yeah, it's kind of an accident.
Okay. That is
A little
interesting
bit.
that, like, these two things are such a big part of your life, and they're similar in certain ways, and yet it's not really conscious.
We met through yoga. I mean, we're both pretty passionate about yoga, as is pretty common in the West right now. But our practices aren't anything too special. We have been learning Tantra yoga, which is way more than just sex. for a few years from a really great teacher. We both were trained in by a teacher from the Shivananda lineage who knows a lot about Ayurveda. That's shifted the way that we exist on this earth. I know when I eat a lot of spicy food or garlic, watch out world, this redhead's gonna be on fire. But in a way that's a religion, but it's more like it's a practice, and it's kind of a nice thing to do with the body. Like if I'm eating a bunch of mushrooms and I'm reflecting on my choices in this body, there will be a moment where I'm like, oh, yes, drink water, that's good for you. Oh, and do yoga, that's a nice thing to do. The body likes that. The body thanks you for that. But it's beyond the body thing too. Like grounding and centering and reminding yourself, like, yes, life is chaos and you're here for the ride. So might as well learn how to be your own rock and enjoy it.
So finishing up, because you guys have to go to Singapore very soon. Not a lot of people know this. Dreams of Consciousness started off 15 years ago, almost exactly 15 years ago, as a webzine. And I can admit now that the reason why I started a webzine was I was trying to get work as a web developer. And so I figured if I put together a Flash site with a lot of like cool animation and transitions and stuff like that, people would hire me. And so, to me, the best way to learn something was to actually create something. So I created this webzine, and I did a bunch of reviews, and I hit up bands to interview. And one of the first bands that was ever interviewed for Dreams of Consciousness was Meatjack.
Yeah.
Which I believe...
I still remember that.
Yeah, which I believe was you and your brother.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, and this is the reason why it's so trippy for me to see you here in Malaysia, because from the point where I ended up here in Malaysia, it was like there was like two halves of my life. There was like everything that happened before that point, meaning like all the shows I saw at CBGB's and the music scene and everything that happened after. And throughout the years we bumped into each other a few times. I went from, I guess, the Meatjack mailing list to the Darsombra mailing list. So circa 2008, correct me if the dates are wrong, but this is how I remember it. Circa 2008, I found out Darsombra was playing a show in New York. And that would have been the first time I saw you play since, the CB's days. Probably the last time I saw you play, because we bumped into each other at that Zena Geva show, but the last time I saw you play would have been 2002. 2002, I'm remembering, I think, which was one of Ralphie Boy's Loud as Fuck Fests, which was Meatjack, along with, I believe, Cattle Press, Grief, maybe I Hate God, I think we said maybe Anal Cunt, maybe Today's the Day, I'm not sure. But even, definitely Disassociate was there because it was Ralphie's show. Sure. But when I think back about like my college life and like the best times I've ever had, it's like that 2-day festival was the best show I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I talked about it, not specifically this, but I talked about this with a band who was also around that era, about why that era meant so much to us. I mean, I don't know how you look back on those days, but for me, that was the best time in music. And his take on it was, well, it's because it was our time. The way certain people will look back on 1986 as the year where music never got any better than that.
Yeah, sure.
And for some people, it'll be like the first time they heard Soundgarden or Alice in Chains or whatever.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like that period from like 2000, maybe 99 to 2002, where, seeing Meatjack, Cattle Press, all these bands that would taking something that existed before and creating something new out of it.
Yeah. And
to a certain extent, I mean, I was 19 the first time I saw and heard Meatjack, so obviously that had a big influence on me because I was so young. And because,
Meatjack.
Yeah, I mean, but the other part of it was, and this is the question I'm leading to, at that time, there was no, you have to sound like this. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Metal and hardcore and other kinds of music were all bleeding into each other in ways and creating something new.
Yeah. And
so from those shows at CB's, from the bands that Ralph used to put on, from the bands that you used to tour with, and that included all the Hydra Head stuff, the stuff that Relapse was putting on at the time, those really great grindcore bands like Soylent Green, Nasum, whatever.
Yeah.
Some of the weirder death metal stuff that was happening like Gorguts. It wasn't old school, it wasn't consciously new school, it was just bands doing what they wanted and creating something new. First of all, how do you look back on those days?
I'm proud of them. We had a lot of fun. We just had some amazing times. And and none of us were ever trying to consciously sound like anything. We wanted to sound like all the stuff we liked in a blender, which would have been like Black Flag and Black Sabbath and,
Crimson.
Yes, and King Crimson and just all of those.
Neurosis?
Well, we were.
It was cross-pollinated.
We weren't trying to sound like them. I think we were both bands were developing along the same lines at the same time, and probably all influenced
symbiotic evolution
by the same thing. I call it it was the Black Flag, Black Sabbath sort of.
I actually do believe in zeitgeist theory, which is, somebody on the West Coast might be doing something, somebody on the East Coast might be doing something. They may not necessarily know about each other.
Yeah.
But because they grew up with the same sort of influences and there's something in the culture, they may develop along parallel tracks.
Yeah, I have. It's so funny. So people ask me all the time, like, "Oh, I wish Meatjack would get back together, or this, that, or the other, or do another show, or whatever." And so I'm proud of that stuff, but I'm always moving forward. I never look back on it, to me, ever with any sort of like sense of nostalgia, like, "Oh, I wish it was like that again," ever, because none of it was ever easy, and was frequently not fun. But that's life, That's not even like specific to Meatjack, It's just like that's life, It's like I always think like we're working hard and we're just trying to do something and live in the moment and make something interesting and stuff. And so, but at the same time, that's just what it is. We're moving. There's momentum, and we're making something in the moment. So to stop and want to ever and go back and try to do something that we did or like relive something. First of all, that is such a frustrating endeavor. I've already done that just in little ways in life where maybe you go to this one really cool restaurant one time and you just have this magical experience like you've never experienced in life again, and so you try to go back there again and relive it, and it's just like you can't, So it's just you just gotta live each day and fully in each moment, and those were a lot of fun. Those were a lot of fun times. Those were a lot of hard times. I'm glad I did them. I'd never go back.
I mean, it sounds like the film projector is what broke up the band.
Yeah.
I heard the film projector was a real diva who needed his own dressing room.
The film projector and the rotating cast of drummers. We could never keep a drummer for more than a couple of years. I think after a while I started losing momentum with it and losing the faith. I was just like, I'm so tired of this. And then so I was looking around me and I was like, Joe Preston from Melvin's is doing a one-man band, and KK Nall from Zenny Gava is going out and doing a one-man band, and Robert Fripp from King Crimson does a one-man band, and I just was like, yeah, that sounds like a lot more, like fun than having to deal with, the drama of coordinating a bunch of different people's schedules and stuff. Just the fact that I happen to be now doing this with my partner was never a conscious decision. That was just a lucky kind of a thing.
It was a surprise.
And it's like, oh, well, this is fun. This is better than a one-man band, but I'm actually doing this with my life partner, my romantic partner, whatever you want to call it.
Let's just say we're friends.
Yeah, we're really close buddies.
Let's keep the intrigue here.
Yeah.
Let's let them think we're available.
Well, we're very friendly friends.
It's true, we are very friendly to new friends.
But with new friends. But anyway.
I mean, you guys dress the same on stage. Maybe you could do a whole White Stripes thing where you're brother and sister.
That's a good one.
Kissing cousins.
I like the fact that you went from having trouble with a drummer to just one gong. That's your entire drum. That's your entire drum setup now. Let's let go of the past and talk about the future. What's next for Darsombra? You mentioned that you are writing or have been writing a 40-minute song. When can we hear that?
Yeah, hopefully it'll be out next year. We've already started recording it. I don't know, we're about half.
It'll be out next year. We're gonna tour on it next fall.
It's about halfway through.
We're gonna aim for a European tour of Polyvision, just because we haven't taken it there yet, next spring. And hopefully sometime between spring and fall next year we can put the new album, which is still unnamed, out on vinyl, cassette, CD, download, and then we'll bring it everywhere that we went. So US, Canada, Southeast Asia, Europe,
and then some new places we haven't been to. We dream of touring Mexico and South America and Japan and Australia and Eastern Europe. So I don't know, wherever and whenever.
Everywhere.
So that we actually have a long-term plan as well. Like after this album, this one long 40-minute song comes out. The next challenge, the album after that, is going to be actually to write short
pop songs.
Whatever Darsombra's version of pop songs, mind you. So they won't
That'll be fucking weird.
That'll still be weird, but there's always a long-term plan. You know, like I said, we got a U.S. tour coming up. As soon as we get back from this, we go out for a 5-week U.S. tour, and then I guess we take the winter off. We usually take the winter off to record and regroup and
Tour in Miami.
and take a little short tour to Miami every winter to play the International Noise Conference and get some warm weather. And then we hit Europe in the spring, and then I don't know, new album out by the middle of next year.
Hoping for the summer release,
Yeah.
something like that. I think we'll prioritize recording it when we get home because it takes about 5 months or so to get a record pressed. So.
Darsombra ringtones. If you want to work on.
Yeah. You know, his ringtone is actually Magma, who's a huge influence of ours, and it's kind of hilarious because like. It's very operatic. We'll just be sitting in a movie or something.
I silence my film before the movies. Thank you very much. I'm not that asshole.
Would you ever consider doing something like, I mean, sorry to bring up Neurosis again, but would you ever consider doing something like Neurosis did where they put out a DVD of all their visual stuff?
Yeah.
Totally. We've tried to do that in the past, and
I mean, obviously nowadays it wouldn't be a DVD; it'd be like some kind of stream or MP3.
We tried to do that with the release before last, and it was too cost prohibitive, or you know, the label we were working with was just like, that's way too much money. You know, let's just do an album.
Maybe
and then we had
SD
visuals
card.
that we put a link to on the. We had in the liner notes, you could go to a page and see all the visuals. So, but yeah, we like that idea. We always think maybe we put it on a stick or something. But it's funny, like, no, everybody streams everything these days.
No. Let's put the next album
buy
out. No, let's put the next album out with a SD card.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Like as part of the release, like a LP with an SD card or something like that. Has some video.
I like the S. I'm gonna put. There's a new card called the SDW card. Shit don't work.
I mean, you've been recording almost all of these shows, right? So maybe a live album with all the video stuff would be cool.
Actually, last February, I shot a bunch of really great videos that I was talking about putting on like a DVD to sell, and I just never got around to it. There was one at a Burning Man style festival in Miami that was just very extreme environment. There was one, and that looked the most like a show of ours, ironically. There was one that was a generator show in the middle of nowhere in Mississippi, just because we'd never played Mississippi. And there was one at a movie theater, so the projections are huge in Florida. And then there was another in Miami where we actually were vomiting on stage. So, you know, a more experimental performance of ours. So, yeah, maybe I wouldn't say to anybody, keep an eye out for this, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, one day I'm going to get that shit done. Yeah. That would be a very nice.
I mean, you have the content, which is the hardest part, so
yeah, totally.
Might as well do something with it.
And people ask actually for it every now and again. Well, somebody will come over to the booth and be like, "You got anything on DVD or whatever? You got anything that has your show? Maybe we should put out a VHS."
Yeah, because tapes are so popular, right? Like the VHS revolution is just around the corner.
I'm thinking it's got to be if cassettes came back. You know,
totally.
I'm so mad about like I understand that you
put it
guys
on a ViewMaster.
Yeah, I actually like that idea a lot better. But I'm so annoyed by this whole cassette thing because I grew up with cassettes and I remember how sucky they were.
Yeah,
and so now I've got.
All of mine right before.
I know. I can't say anything about them because we put out cassettes and you know.
But I mean, the thing is, the kids who are buying cassettes from you are listening to music on their phones, so
I know.
Sorry,
It's
old
nostalgia.
It's a funny thing, you know. Records came back, and I was happy about that because I'm a big vinyl head fan, and they just sound great. But yes, I remember cassettes.
Well, cassettes
the
are
first
cheap.
time around, and they sounded like shit.
But they're cheap and they're easy to reproduce. They're easy to put out. I mean, that's what we're touring with here because they're easy to make and easy to tour with. They're light.
And
I mean,
for like, you know, as much as I hate on them, I do understand in Southeast Asia they're the most cost-effective plus space-effective merch that you can.
Yeah, and you can get them pressed really quick, unlike vinyl, where you have to wait like a half a year. And then if some big celebrity comes in, they'll knock it down the list, and we have to wait even longer.
Yeah.
You know, whatever, Kid Rock or whoever. I don't know, is that a name anymore? I don't know. Somebody comes in and wants to press vinyl. they're gonna be like, sorry, we just bumped you back a month because we need to press 1 million, whatever, Kid Rock albums or whoever. Justin Bieber. That's a name, right?
So I'm super late with all these podcasts, but in the unlikely event that I get this out before you guys finish your tour, is there anything you want to say to people in Vietnam and Indonesia? Or maybe the
We
people
can't wait! We love Southeast Asia.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to the rest of this tour. And I don't know, Malaysia was awesome. What's next?
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
you.